Port security really accomplishes two things for us. Number one, it's going to allow us to control which devices based on their MAC address are allowed to connect to a particular switch port. Number two is it's going to control the number of MAC addresses that can be learned on a particular interface. And as a result, we have the ability to prevent a MAC address flooding attack from occurring on our switch. So when it comes to port security, what type of issues might we face? Well, we can configure port security on the interface, but if we forget to enable it on that interface, then port security is not going to function as expected. We have the ability to create static entries, so hard code the MAC address of the device that will be connected to that particular switch port. However, if we mistype that MAC address, then that user will not be able to connect to that switch port anymore. We can specify a maximum number of MAC addresses. If we require 2 MAC addresses on that interface because we have a phone connected to the switch port and then a PC connected to the phone, well, what if we accidentally configure it for 1 or leave it at the default of 1? Well, in that case, we have the wrong MAC addresses or the wrong maximum MAC addresses configured on that port. And as a result, we have a misconfiguration issue and users aren't going to be able to connect through that particular switch port. However, what if we configured the right maximum value and there's a violation that occurs? Well, there's 3 violation modes. We have protect, restrict, and shutdown. If any one of these violation modes get triggered, then users are going to be prevented from accessing the network. So with protect and restrict, if either of those violation modes are being used, what will happen? Well, the offending MAC address, so the MAC address that has caused the violation, will be prevented from accessing the network, as well as any other MAC addresses that are being learned on that particular port. However, the original MAC addresses that were learned, they will be perfectly fine. They can still access the network. With the protected violation mode, there is no log message generated at all. So you would not be notified that this particular violation occurred. However, with restrict, there are log messages generated. When we are dealing with the shutdown violation mode, if the violation occurs, the port is placed in the air disabled state. And that means no traffic is going to flow through that port and everybody is being restricted at that point in time from accessing the network. And lastly, we can use the sticky MAC address feature. And the issues we run into with the sticky MAC address feature are related to the fact that we forget to save the configuration. You see, with the sticky MAC address feature, the MAC addresses that are learned dynamically are then placed into the running configuration. So it's like you configuring the static entry, but instead of you statically configuring it, the dynamic entry is turned into a type of static entry. However, if you forget to save the running configuration to NVRAM, then those sticky MAC addresses are not saved. So you have to be aware of these different issues while you're troubleshooting port security.